day before, another natural disaster struck the United States. This time, the city of Houston, which is located in the state of Texas, was affected. The city was simultaneously attacked by a devastating tornado, a hurricane, which was accompanied by heavy rain, and thousands of lightning struck the city. The tornado struck suddenly, with the Humble area hitting the hardest when the tornado swept through the city. The wind speed reached about 80 miles per hour. The tornado badly damaged many buildings in the area, knocked down many trees, damaged many cars, disrupted power lines, causing power outages in the city, and leaving thousands of residents without power. The hurricane swept through the city, which was accompanied by heavy rain, as a result of which some streets were flooded. Thousands of lightning struck at night, which greatly frightened the inhabitants of the city, and many did not sleep all night. There was no information about the victims, only a lot of material damage was inflicted. Insurance companies are calculating the losses.
Greetings. Whether or not you know it or not, the United States is in a civil war. The United States is also in a war with Allah. The United States is breaking the laws of Allah. I could cite two. Giving homosexuals the permission to marry. The same kind. Two men can marry each other, two women can marry each other. This is against nature. Another one is charging interest. Eating the wrong type foods. Then you got them genocides a complete nation of people. Genociding a complete nation of Native Americans and the original Asiatic black man. What about that bomb they dropped on Hiroshima? Wars in Iraq, Afghanistan. Constant state of war and a constant state of war. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that after him comes Allah. So Minister Farrakhan trying to take the seat of Allah. Wharf Dean tried to take the seat from his father. It's not working out too well. Not only for them, but for us, the grassroots Asiatic black man who didn't adhere to the warnings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a message to the black man. The time has come. We are hard-headed people. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're having a civil war. Then we got invaded with a pandemic of a superbug. He wants to mandate a superbug juice. We don't know what's in it. Some of us don't care because we're in fear, constant fear. But that's the price we got to pay for not listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not learning his teachings, internalizing his teachings, not separating ourselves from Satan, marrying devils. Want to live in the devil's house, eat the devil's food, have sex with the devils.
Are responsible somehow for violent threats. Realize that by attacking me, you're attacking one member who actually has suffered from violent attacks. I was at the ball field today. Steve Scalise almost died. I was 10 feet away from a staffer who was shot in the leg. We had over 160 rounds of semi-automatic weapons fired at us, ammunition. So for you to somehow suggest that somehow I or people who dare to oppose you are responsible for threats, that's insulting. The person who shot at us and almost killed Steve Scalise was a rabid supporter of Bernie Sanders. But the one thing you'll find if you look at the record is not one of us accused Bernie Sanders of being responsible for that. So this is the kind of ignorant sort of personal attacks that you've engaged in. You engaged in these attacks with fellow scientists. Not only was it 3 scientists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford that you chose to malign, 50,000 scientists and medical doctors signed this petition. And what they wanted was something that most Americans think is pretty reasonable. It's a different kind of approach. Instead of saying that everyone is the same and everyone should get the same treatment and everybody ought to just get vaccinated, what it did is it said that the death rate for this disease is extraordinary in the risk being different according to ages. So if you look at an 80-year-old, it's at least 1,000 times greater death rate than it is for a 10-year-old. So wouldn't we want to say that, well, we're going to assess the risks of each individual and have the treatment according to that, or would we just simply say everyone should be vaccinated? Dr. Fauci, according to Forbes, you have an annual salary in 2020 was $434,000. You oversee over $5 billion in federal research grants. As the highest paid employee in the entire federal government, yes or no, would you be willing to submit to Congress and the public a financial disclosure that includes your past and current investments? After all, your colleague, Dr. Walensky, and every member of Congress submits a financial disclosure that includes their investments.
I don't understand why you're asking me that question. My financial disclosure is public knowledge and has been so for the last 37 years or so, 35 years.
But the big tech giants are doing an incredible job of keeping it from being public. We'll continue to look for it. Where would we find it?
All you have to do is ask for it. You're so misinformed, it's extraordinary.